Happy Wednesday. We're bye
There you
week.
go.
It's hump day on this Colorado Buffaloes midweek live. We're not on Bleacher Report today as is a bye week. We'll be on Bleacher Report live for the next 4 weeks though to cover
Yep.
the game and give you insights and recaps and reviews and predictions for the upcoming game. Also on our Colorado Buffaloes midweek live on the Bleacher Report. But you can also find this on the Buff Time podcast on both of our channels, Brian Howell and Big Dog Chico channel on YouTube. So we're back here. Maybe just going to give you guys some bi-week news and updates and kind of cover the game and take any comments or questions if you guys would like to not be so brutal in the comment section.
Yeah, well, let's keep it nice tonight.
Let's keep it nice. That's what it is. All right, Brian. Let them know. What's the latest and greatest? What have you been covering so far? I know you guys had the defensive coordinator Robert Livingston and offensive coordinator Pat Shermer. Tell us what you get from that.
Yeah, it was good to chat with both of those guys yesterday and just kind of get their takes, not only on the UCF game of the first 5 weeks, and both of them really pleased with the progress they're making. And Pat Shermer talked about. He said, "Hey, let's not read too much into one game. We still have a lot we got to do, and that was a great game, but there's still a lot of work to be done. But they are pleased. I mean, they're doing some things, and I think they're coaching great right now. And with Pat Shermer, I'll say one thing that was impressive. He was talking about how he self scouts and he goes, I look at some of my tendencies, and he goes, I broke a lot of them this last week, and he absolutely did. And Ted Roof, the DC over at UCF, mentioned that, saying, yeah, I mean, Colorado surprised us with a lot of the things they did. And so, I look forward to some of that stuff down the stretch too. After the bye week, like, what's Pat Shermer going to dial up now? And so K-State's now seen some more things, but Pat Shermer, I think when he shows that ability to break from tendencies, you look forward to, like, cool, what's he going to dial up for K-State or for Cincinnati or Texas Tech or whoever's coming up. So I think I thought that was a pretty insightful comment from him.
Yeah, I like that about him and what he said about that, and also to be so open to where you could say, self scouting. He went back and looked at some of the things that he usually do in the past, and maybe it worked well back then. It's just not a good concept now, and throw that out, scratch that, and just to be open to do that for a long time coach, that shows his capabilities to adapt, I think, in whatever situations, and to, go along with his players also.
Yeah, and there might be some plays too that, like, maybe it would work really well with Ryan Staub, but it doesn't work as well with Shedeur. Or maybe it's a play that Pat Shermer's had success with in the past, but Shedeur's not comfortable with it, and so you throw that out. And the other thing I like about Shermer is when you watch, like, the well-off videos, of the games. I like watching the game recaps because there's times where you see those sideline conversations, and there's a lot of times you see Pat Shermer talking with Shedeur or talking with Travis, and actually I shouldn't say talking with, because a lot of times he's listening to Shedeur and he's listening to Travis. He's listening to other guys telling him, hey, coach, here's what I'm seeing. And he goes, okay, great. And they'll implement something coming out of a break or whatever. And so, that's one of my favorite things about those well-off videos, is just seeing those little sideline interactions that you learn a lot from.
Yep. And it kind of just takes me back to being on the sideline. But I love to see the coaches interact with the players on the sideline, ask them what they're seeing out there on the field. That way they can get a feel of, what to call, and what, if they're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, then we're on the same page. We can call certain plays.
Yeah.
I like how Travis explained on his podcast where he analyzes the coverages as he's playing throughout the game. He's not just out there running around and running amok or whatever. He's analyzing what's going on throughout the game. That's how he and Shedeur was able to have that connection on that post route for the touchdown in the game. And he was aware enough to dodge the defender as he made the catch and scored in the end zone. So those little nuances and things like that, to hear players nowadays with the new media, so to speak, be able to talk and express themselves in a comfortable environment. You get to hear these things nowadays, and I love it.
Yeah, and that's why he's able to make interceptions like the one he made as well.
Right.
Because he's analyzing things, and his instincts are incredible. And like Shiloh's talked about that. Like I remember Shiloh telling me that in the summer that's one of the most impressive things about Travis. But I think a lot of those instincts come from studying, and it's because you're seeing something that like, yep, I saw this before. I saw this on film when I was watching this week, and he had to have known. I mean, obviously he read it right on that interception, but he had to have known the way that play was developing and the way they lined up that Jefferson was not going to go deep because, in a way, you look at it and that was sort of a risky play,
Mhm.
in that if Jefferson sees that, he's got a wide open guy streaking down the sidelines. But um, I, it's hard to know like how that would have looked if Travis saw it differently, and so
Well, it's so yeah, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
just
I was
I was impressed by it,
it's so much I think that goes back to watching film and Coach
Mhm.
Prime. He watched so much film as a player. Like that's he was one of the people that made it popular to watch
Mhm.
film.
Yeah.
So he even said that the team watched more film this week than any other week, being that they were in Florida and they were away from the school or whatever. But I think it showed on the film and on the field. Watching film gives you the ability to identify the tendencies of the opposing team because you can see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
you can identify those things, that gives you an advantage on the field to play faster,
Mhm.
to anticipate more, to be more instinctive. Because hey, man, I know when he does this, this is and then the down and distance. You take into
Mhm.
consideration is what I think Travis did to know that he's not going to go deep here. He wants to go underneath right here. So I'm going to bait him to think that he's open, like you might have saw. Oh, I'm making him think that I'm coming right back underneath because that's what the film says he likes to go. So I'm
Yeah.
going to play this cover two like this, and then go get the ball and hit my Heisman pose like that. But it all comes from watching film and having that ability also to make the play.
Yeah, and I would guess too that as that play is unfolding, he's probably also reading the fact that CU's getting pressure on Jefferson, and Jefferson's not in a position to unload and go deep.
Right.
And also I'll say this: is KJ Jefferson ever going to float a pass like that again? Because that was about the softest pass I've seen thrown in a long time.
Yeah.
That helped Travis get there on time, but you know I'm not taking anything away from Travis, but I would imagine KJ Jefferson's going to zip that ball in there a little bit better next time.
Well, that's from the baiting. That's from him thinking that Travis was playing off, and also like you said, the pressure in his face. But
Yeah.
then as he's throwing it, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but you throw something, you're like, oh shoot, can I have that back?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't mean to throw that. And damn,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's one of those things. I think that's probably why the ball floated so much, and because
Mhm.
he thought Travis just wasn't even in the play, So
Right.
great job by Travis Hunter at the end of the day. We see him make different plays like that. He said on his
Mhm.
podcast he felt like he should have had 3 picks, 2 other plays like that. The one where he had the pass break up
Mhm.
over his head, he felt like he should have jumped earlier, and then he had another one where KJ floated it out there to the flat. So imagine him having a game where he has multiple picks.
Right. Yeah, he was really close on the one that he batted down,
Yes.
and we were actually all saying in the press box like, all right, if he would have come down with that one, if it would have like fallen in his lap like that, then just
Oh yeah, it almost
you know
fell in his
it,
lap.
it almost did, yeah.
Yeah.
But what a great pass breakup, and he might be right. I mean, I'm not going to doubt him. If he jumps a little bit earlier or whatever, maybe he pulls that down. But he was close to at least one other one. So yeah, his instincts are incredible.
I was out here. I'm sorry, keep going back to this, but I was out here at the Polynesian Bowl when he played in it against the Arizona top receiver, who could
Mhm.
be the top wide receiver in college football, other than Travis Hunter, is
Yeah.
Tetairoa McMillan. He went out there on the field and he was battling him, and he said on the sideline, "Man, I'm about to go out here and get a pick." And I said I was right next to him. He went out there and he actually picked the ball off like the next couple plays. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So I wouldn't doubt this guy on the football field in any way. if we need a quarterback, put Travis in. If we need a
Yeah.
kicker, see if Travis can kick. So that's what I think. That's what I feel about Travis Hunter. Definitely a Heisman Trophy candidate. People saying I think he's the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Been
Yeah.
saying this from day one. People are now jumping on the bandwagon. If you had you have a vote. I'm not gonna say where it's gonna go, but where on the rankings would you put Travis Hunter your Heisman?
Well, I mean, obviously the votes aren't due for a couple months, but if they were due today, it'd be Travis Hunter. It'd be Travis Hunter. I mean, there's no question. I mean, I just, I go back to what the trophy says, that it's presented to the most outstanding player in college football, and that's Travis Hunter. And I think, guys like Cam Ward and Milroe at Alabama are playing fantastic, but are they doing anything we've never seen before?
That's the only question I ask the people on Facebook when they comment under my picture. What about the kid at Bama? What about Milroe? What about Cam? I say they're doing great, but have we ever seen this before? Have they? Are they doing anything we've never seen before?
There's to me, there's too much tendency with the Heisman Trophy for years to they limit it to, all right, who are the top 10 teams, right? And it's going to come off somebody from there who's the best player on a top 10 team, and I think there's a lot of players that maybe should have been given consideration or won the award that were actually the best player in the country that didn't win it because they weren't a top 10 team. And not that it's easy to play quarterback at Alabama, but when year after year the quarterback at Alabama is putting up big numbers, that says something about what that program is, right? So same with running back at Ohio State, things like that. Like those guys they just churn out guys, and they're not doing anything different that we haven't seen before. And Cam Ward is fantastic. He's playing phenomenal. But we've seen quarterbacks play phenomenal before. We've never seen. Well, you have to go back to like the 60s and 50s, I guess, to find a guy that's played like this on offense and defense like Travis Hunter is doing. And I'll be honest with you, I think that if Travis Hunter was doing this for Alabama or Georgia, he would have, the nation would have him as the lock for the Heisman Trophy.
Well, that brings a good question. And I saw Coach Prime in his presser say, basically thank God that Travis came to him, that God blessed him with Travis to where Coach Prime can, hone his skills and allow him to develop and allow him to play on both sides of the ball. Like a lot of other coaches wouldn't allow. They would try to suppress him to play on one side of the ball. Same thing he said with him going to the NFL. Imagine him on the bench while you out there getting torched on defense. Right. Imagine him on the bench while you can't score on offense. You're going to look like the craziest coach in the world.
Right.
If he had a gone, that's the Alabama coming out of me right there. If he had a gone, if he had chosen to go to Alabama or Georgia, do you think he would have the same ability to be playing or the opportunity to be playing on both sides of the ball as he is today?
No, because I think that those schools, while they've had great coaches, I think that they've got coaches that are kind of the old school type coaches. And, I just thought of something I remember Nick Saban talking about a couple of years ago. Who was it? Surtain? Was he talking about Surtain? No, maybe he was talking about Devonta Smith. I can't remember. It was one of those two guys. I can't remember who it was,
Surtain.
But I think he was talking about Surtain, but how he was saying that, he was such a great corner, and he was probably our best receiver. I think it was Devonta Smith he was talking about. He won the Heisman as receiver, saying he was one of our best corners, and we had him kind of as a backup if we needed him at that point, but we never needed him. So my point is that Alabama had a player like that. They believe, and they didn't let him do it. And so I just think Travis Hunter is blessed that that the stars aligned to where Coach Prime decided to start his college coaching career at a time that Travis Hunter was coming out of high school, because it'd be a shame to see Travis Hunter play one side of the ball for somebody. It'd be fun to watch, but it wouldn't be as fun to watch as what we're seeing right now, right?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's definitely the stars aligned for that.
Mhm.
Match made in heaven. You know, he wears number 12, kind of like reverse of 21. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
new age is
Yeah.
new coming of it. You know, playing both sides of the ball. 4.0 student, amazing young man. Has his everything. Everything is top notch when it comes to Travis Hunter and everything around him. So you know, more praises and more goodness and positive vibes to him and his family. Shout out to his pops too down there in Florida doing this thing, man. We're gonna get into some stats and things from the defense and the red zone and the offense in the red zone also. But I wanted to say this real quick. We went back, if we go back to one of our previous podcasts, I think last week, and we gave our predictions and our keys to the game. I said that if we can hold them, now I think I asked you, could we hold them to around 150 to 175 yards rushing, 175 yards rushing, and we can win this ball game. They can run for 175 in between the 20s.
Yeah.
Do you know the final rushing stat for UCF
I
in the
believe it
ball
was
game?
I believe it was 177.
I think it was 176 or 177. So right on par.
Yeah. There you go. But the key there, the key that you're talking about there is it was between the 20s,
It was in
right?
between the 20s.
And
And we
you know,
and
yeah. And
no,
they
go ahead.
they
I'm sorry.
didn't they didn't they didn't let them get those yards in the red zone. And I know we're going to bring up that stat, but you're right. And you know, I'm a big fan of RJ Harvey. I think he's going to put up a lot of yards. I think and they did a great job against him, better than I thought that they were going to, obviously, because I picked them, to win that game. But, I think I said, hey, UCF's probably going to get at least 200 yards rushing. Well, they didn't. CU did a great job. Their run defense, I think, is growing in confidence every week. They had a nice game against Colorado State. They had a nice game against Baylor, and they had a really good game against UCF. So I think that run defense is growing in confidence, and it's nice to see Chidozie back as well, the block bully.
Man. I wasn't. Hey, listen, we only having a conversation, people. You know, we got a couple of little bullet points, but we only here having the conversation. And him bringing up the block bully Chidozie Nwankwo just made me like, damn, how can I even not put him as a bullet point? Because Chidozie went out there coming off a shoulder injury
Right.
and looked like an elbow injury also. And he made some plays in the red zone. I saw him with a nice swim move for a guy to be listed at 5'11" to be out there swim moving up in the interior line. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that shows you, his quickness off the ball and why Coach Prime looked at this guy as a pro. His presence in the middle was felt during this ball game, definitely.
Yeah, and I gotta say they did a nice job without him the previous two games, but it's much better to have him there. I mean, he and Shane Cokes to me are their, when you've got the two of them, that's their best group. But the other guys are doing a great job as well. Ann Quinn and Amari McNeil, guys like that. But Chidozie, that's a difference maker.
Yes. All right, what we're gonna do on this segment right here, people, we're gonna go to Brian Howell. This is a promo for Brian's Twitter, although he might not need it right now because I think he's at what? You got 30,000 followers on your Twitter, or what is that? Yeah, I think he's at about 32.
Something like that.
So just some slight like that.
I don't know.
It ain't nothing. It is. All right, so what we're gonna do is go through some of your tweets.
36,000.
36. Make sure I don't shortchange you right there. All right, 36,000 followers, and he's putting out some good information about the Buffs. So we're gonna go through some of these things and just get his thoughts on them and maybe some clarification on some of them also. But regarding the rankings, Colorado receiving 1 point doesn't mean voters aren't taking the Buffs seriously. There are 40 to 45 teams I consider for my ballot, but there are only room for 25. This is September 29th, which was game time or day after the game.
That was the day
Sunday.
after, yeah.
Yeah, this Sunday. So there are a lot of good football teams, CU included, who aren't ranked. Just keep winning. What's your thoughts on that tweet right there?
Yeah, well, I did that because there's a lot of people that were mad they only got 1 point, and some were mad at me because I'm an AP voter, and that wasn't me that voted them. But I actually have. So as a voter, I imagine others do this as well. I look at 40, 45 teams every week, that are on my list, and I go with the top 25. The Buffs for me, they're top 30, but they're not quite top 25 yet. And so what I was meaning by that is I'm looking at the Buffs. I also didn't rank Nebraska, but they're certainly on my list right there. There's other teams that I may not rank, but they're right there. That when a spot opens up, they're the teams I'm looking at. And so I bet I would bet. I don't know the minds of the other 60 voters, but I would bet they're all doing similar things to where, all right, Colorado's on the radar, and beat K-State, they're in. And I think that what this game against UCF did is put Colorado on the radar for a lot of voters. And so that's more important, I think, than the votes right now. You're on the radar going into October. So that's a good thing.
All right, here we go right here. This is actually from Adam, who you guys will see on the Buff'em updates. We'll have that on Thursday, myself and Adam. But updated FPI projections on ESPN has the Buffs, and this is the power index, has the Buffs right here behind the Iowa State Cyclones. We are 4-1 right now. Can you explain the significance of this?
Yeah, isn't that amazing that after a couple of games, basically ESPN saying the Buffs have the second best chance to win the Big 12 when not too long ago they were saying they'd be 5-7. The Buffs are turning some heads right now and playing good football. And also talks about or shows how much this conference is wide open. And we've seen some pretty amazing results so far. BYU crushing Kansas State. Kansas State crushing Arizona. Arizona, going in. I know that Utah didn't have Cam Rising, but upsetting Utah in Salt Lake City. So there's been some pretty amazing results. It's been an up and down conference so far, and it's wide open. And you've got to put the Colorado in there, and it's nice to see that. I mean, the computer, that's a computer ranking. So the computer is saying, these Buffs are pretty good.
Okay. Let's go here. And I think so, but, it's still mid-season. And computer ranking also is taking into fact things of this nature right here. I think you tweeted about it also. Let me see if I can pull it up really fast. And it is that the Colorado Red Zone defense during its 3-game winning streak, 11 possessions, 5 scores allowed, 45.5%. That's 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 5 takeaways, 1 fourth down stop. Big time on the defense. Do you think the computer is taking that in consideration, that this defense has been lights out inside the red zone?
I would hope so. The red zone has been phenomenal. And I asked Robert Livingston about this this week, that what the stats are showing is Colorado will give up yards. If you look at the basic defensive stats, which we all look at, which are points allowed and yards allowed, right? The Buffs don't rank very well. They're, I think, middle of the country in points allowed. They're in the 80s as far as total defense and rushing yards allowed, passing yards allowed. But then when you look at things like TFLs, they're pretty high up there. When you look at red zone, they're one of the best in the country. So they're making plays when it counts. Their third down defense is, I think, 15 percentage points higher than it was last year. But that red zone, when the field gets tighter, the Buffs are playing phenomenal. I mean, 5 forced turnovers in the red zone in the last 3 weeks is unbelievable, in my opinion. And really, I call it 6 with that 4th down stop, because that's a turnover on downs. And so, and 3 of those were against UCF. That's why they won the game. It's because they were so good in the red zone. And I imagine they can keep it up, but that's pretty phenomenal.
Okay. I got a couple of people in the chat that I can address right now, but until then, I'm gonna hit you with I told you so, because my analysis of the game was, for the Buffs, for the UCF game, we're gonna get to the other ones also, was, hey man, bend but don't break, give up the yards in between, but play red zone defense. And also on offense, we have to score in the red zone. And man, we've done that 100% of the time. Colorado's red zone offense during this 3-game win streak, 9 possessions, 9 scores, 100%. That's 100%. Y'all know, right? 9 possessions, 9 scores. That's all of them. That's everything. That's all of them, dog. 9 of 9. 8 touchdowns, though. not just field goals, 8 touchdowns and 1 field goal. How good is that?
That's pretty impressive. And I don't have it in front of me, but they were 100% deep into last season as well. They've been really good in the red zone since Coach Prime got here on offense. And, eight touchdowns in 9 possessions is really good. I can't remember the field goal that they had, but yeah, that's pretty impressive. Eight. I mean, that tells you that they know what they're doing down there. Shador Sanders
I was
obviously
about to say,
is just phenomenal when he gets in the red zone. He knows where he's going with the ball. He's managed that well, and they're adding in some rushing touchdowns the last few weeks too. So it's not just him throwing the ball. So yeah, but when you have a quarterback like Shador Sanders, you feel good going into the red zone.
yeah, because it's about decision making, quick
Yep.
decision making also, and reading the defense. Pre-snap is huge in the red zone. Offensive line also is big in the red zone, but I think it when everything is more condensed like that, and you have the ability to run the ball also, like we shown last game. That's going to make it even uh, more wide open for the receivers on these slant routes and crossing routes and such like that to get open, and for Shador Sanders to find them because of the
Mhm.
run game. So, man, just decision making down there, like you said, pointing out that managing the red zone, Shador Sanders has been one of one doing that, and been leading the Buffs to have 100%, 9 of 9. Man, that's
Yeah.
crazy in the
Well,
red zone. I know you said they did it last year too, but you know, right now with the
yeah.
defense playing the way they're playing and it being some running touchdowns in there, I think that's the difference from last year.
I also think, and again, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think that last year, while they were their percentage was really high, I think it's a higher percentage of touchdowns this year. I think there was a lot of field goals in there last
Yes.
year. It just feels that way, but I'm trying to remember the stats. But um, they're scoring more touchdowns at a higher percentage than they were in the red zone than last year. So you have to like that, and it certainly helps. Not only do you have Shador, but you got some pretty darn good athletes that can work in small spaces like that. So that helps too.
All right. Hey, if y'all want to get these shades right here, man, these are the blenders. And you probably, everybody asks me right now, you probably can go to the Glass House or glasshouseoptical.shop and get you some, or just search blenders, Coach Prime on Google. And I'm not ignoring you. Goodness gracious. I'm just trying to get to everybody in the chat. Like Brian said, that need to be a sound bite, Brian. Brian said, you guys are brutal in the chat, man.
No, they're
All
good
right.
today.
Here's one thing. Shout out to Deion Sanders Jr. He tweeted this, which is what you reposted, saying, y'all on here don't listen to anything these people talking about. Truthfully, we still haven't done ish. We still don't deserve to be ranked. We still have a long way to go. They'll build you up to break you right back down. Stay starving. What do you think about that? And you did repost it.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to my comment about them not being ranked quite yet. That they still got some things to prove, and let's be honest. I mean, listen to what Coach Prime said right out of the gates after the game. He said, "I've been waiting to see that. It's taken this long to see that. I mean, it was game 17, and we finally saw it. So, yeah, they have something to prove because now we need to see it again, and that was a huge step for them to play that way." But now they got to do it again. And I think it's one of those things where, as a coaching staff, I would imagine they're going to tell the team, all right, look, you just showed us you can do it. Go do it again. And that's kind of the next step for this team is to go play like that consistently and not just make it a one-off, and make it, to where it was a really nice game down in Orlando, but go make that a consistent, full, complete game like that.
Well, I think people better hope it doesn't become consistent, because a consistent squad like we saw, playing ball with the defense and all three phases playing together and the offense being explosive, the Big 12 will be on watch and will be surprised. And you'll see that computer, continue to raise them up in the standings because they're going to be kicking some butt, man. It'll be a problem in whatever conference if they're playing that way, with those type of numbers, especially in the red zone. and just being that consistent. So that's what Coach Prime is hoping for. That's the type of staff I think he's assembled. Those guys who can, continue to, crack that whip, so to speak. Is that a horse racing term? I hope it is a horse racing term. Shit. Dang, I could have came up with a better one, couldn't you, big dog? But but hopefully they can continue to, keep that fire lit above their players for each and every possession.
Well, and I'll tell you what, this week you've seen a lot of like national people kind of admit they may have been wrong. Even a guy like Paul Feinbaum. And I'll say this: if the Buffs keep playing like this, the bird that people eat the most at Thanksgiving won't be turkey; it'll be crow.
It'll be crow.
It'll be crow
for your wash, for your arse. For real, because if Paul Feinbaum is going back there, that's crazy. But I would say, I don't blame most people or for whoever for what their thoughts and their opinions is. I keep saying this, people try to say I be wanting to go in on somebody or I be taking it easy. Everybody gonna have their opinion on what it is. I just take people for, like Coach Prime said, you're gonna show me who you are, dog, and I'm just gonna take it as that. That don't mean that you're gonna show me you're a bad person or a good person or you're terrible at this. You're just gonna show who you are, and whoever you are is who you are, and that's okay with it. Be happy with who you are, and I'm okay with it if you're okay with it. But this is just a pick. And somebody said in the chat that Brian is a journalist, and they're asking why am I making. Listen, we're talking as a journalist, professional also, but we also talking personally also. We kind of blurring the lines right here. We're like Robin Thicke and what's his name, Bruno Mars. Don't we look like them? Don't we look like them?
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit sexier, I think. So, now, man, appreciate everybody in the chat. Y'all have any questions, let us know. Yes, Brian was wrong on this one. Let me see. Brian was wrong. You're going to be overweight.
Overweight with all the crow meeting.
Oh.
Well, yeah, except that, guess what? I had the Buffs going to a bowl game and going 7-5, and very few people did. I had them picked higher than most people did in the conference, so I won't be eating nearly as much crow as most people. And as we talked about our previous podcast, Chico, let's not forget I did pick him to beat Nebraska, and they lost that game. So this was the first time this year I picked him to lose. So
okay, so maybe you're just not a good picker, Brian, and that's okay. When we tell you why, I'm just joking in a little bit. See, people, I'm just joking. We can joke, but I was going to say I was going to compare you to Drake, and I was going to say, everybody they say every team Drake bets on they lose, so maybe they said maybe you should bet on or you should predict Kansas State to win so that we can upset them again. in your, but yeah, they say a lot of stuff in the chat, dog.
Hey, I'll just say I generally I have a history, of being more optimistic about the Buffs than most people are in my 15 years of covering them, and that was the case this year too. We'll see. They might even be better than what I thought. I picked 7-5. They might even be better than that.
Is there something that other than a pick that Brian might have done to make people say he's a hater? Maybe it's something I missed. Nothing you want to let people.
Something I missed. Something I missed. I don't know.
Brian low-key hater. That's why he has no Nick Neely. What, man? See, let me stop taking on these comments, man. If y'all gonna go personal, I know y'all talk about me and my mustache. Y'all talk about me and my razor line. Y'all talk about me and my hair. Everything. It has nothing to do with what we feel about the team and the squad. But it's all good though. We got love for everybody in the chat, man. Brian and I come together to do this. We try to come together and come from different perspectives, different worlds, so to speak, and talk about this to give you guys different views and opinions and thoughts of what we feel about Colorado. I feel like going into next week, we're going to be ready to go versus Kansas State. They're coming off a win and going and on a bye week right now. We're in the same position. How do you feel like we're going to handle this bye week as far as them? And then how are we going to find a way to get a win next week? I know you really, like you say, you haven't really looked at them as much and we'll give our predictions next week. But what do you feel about this bye week going into the next week?
Yeah, I mean, I love obviously how they're going into the bye week compared to last year. And you remember last year, it was just kind of set up for sort of a slide after that bye week. I mean, they as we remember, not to bring up a bad game, but they're up 29-0 against Stanford, lose that game, in overtime, and then go into the bye week. They got to sit on that for 2 weeks. Then they have to go on the road right out of the bye week to UCLA, which is a pretty good team, and played one of their worst games. The offensive line had their worst game of the year probably. This year, totally different. You go on the road, get a massive win. You get to sit on that for 2 weeks, then you get to be at home. That's a totally different situation. And so you like that a lot better than last year. They have momentum going into it. I think this is a great time for a bye week to where, yes, you got a 3-game winning streak, and there's that theory that you want to just keep it going. But I think also this is a great time 5 weeks in to allow some guys to heal. You see some guys limping, on Saturday in Orlando. Like, you know what? I bet Chidozie could use that shoulder resting a little bit more. Travis could probably use, not getting hit for a week. Shedeur, we know, could use a week of not getting hit by somebody. So I think it's going to come at a good time for them, a good chance to kind of step away a little bit and heal up a little bit and be home. I think that's a huge thing is they get to be home after that bye week.
Man, it's going to be a big time ball game. Like I said, I could pull up K-State stats, but from what I've seen, they're going to try to pound the ball. They're going to run the ball. They have a good quarterback who has some mobility. We're going to have to corral him.
Avery Johnson's really
Avery
good.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Giddens is a really good running back. I think he might even be better than Harvey. And then they also got some guy that was at Colorado, Dylan Edwards. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fast ass Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
And he's going to be motivated to come out here and really get in the end zone as much as he can. And we're going to be motivated to stop him. We got defensive coordinator and we have defensive coaches who are not going to have that emotional aspect into it. They're going to treat it like any other game, and we just got to hit whoever is running the ball in the mouth. And it's going to be that first running back up first that you name. I can't get the names right now. I'm in Colorado, but yes. So Giddens is going to be getting hit by the Road Warriors, the tag team partners, Hawk and Animal. That's Nakai Hill Green and Levante Bentley in the middle.
Yeah.
They've been doing a great job there. And, Wester came in, created a couple fumbles last week. One counted, of course, that was returned by Cameron Sidman Craig. Arden Walker played a great game last week, man.
Okunlola looked really good.
Okunlola.
Yes. Taj McCoy with 2 sacks.
Yes.
It's funny. I can't remember if I said this the other day, but I remember in the press box, I tweeted out, the list of the key guys that were out for the game. And, there was one response from somebody saying, I'm out on this one, meaning I'm done with this game. If they have those guys out. Another one said, well, the Buffs are cooked. And you saw all those guys, their backup stepped up, Khalil Benson was out with an injury. Well, Kareem Harden came in and played a really nice football game the other day. And, Deion Hayes was out, but Taj McCoy comes in, gets 2 sacks. Sam Okunlola, I believe, got his first sack as a Buff. Arden Walker, as you mentioned. So they kind of made up for that. And again, Carter Stoutmeyer continues the ball in Shiloh's place. And so, those guys are stepping up. And I think that's one of the biggest differences, Chico, is this Buffs team has way more depth than last year.
Way more depth, way more talented pieces that, that have proven themselves in the past. Will Shepherd, one of those guys, was really able to break out this game. And I said we was going to score on number 7. Another I told you so moment, I guess, from Chico that people don't like in the comments. But I told you we was going to score on number 7. And if you go back and look at the scores, you'll see number 7 in the shot somewhere. This one right here with Will Shepherd. Will went up and got that thing. And I pointed this out on live. Travis pointed out his podcast that the defender back there, which happened to be number 7 for them. Sorry, number 7. I'm not going to call your name, but you was wearing number 7. He was trying to get the ball here. And every DB coach teaches to high point the football. How you going to high point with your hands right here trying to catch a pass like this. You got to go up and get it, and that's why Will was able to go up and get that thing,
Yeah.
and able to build on that for his confidence, knowing the type of player that he is, coming from the SEC. Really wanted to prove himself here, and I think he had the chance to, you know, as he would say, come back and redeem himself. But Coach Prime said he never left. So shout out to Will Shepherd.
Well, and also he had a funny line that people have Vanderbilt fans have not liked that line. But when you know the guys up at the press conference were asked, you know, is this one of the biggest wins you've been a part of? And Will Shepherd's like, well, you guys know where I came from, Vanderbilt. He goes, this is the biggest win I've had, you know, and you know, a little bit of maybe a tiny shot at Vanderbilt, but let's be honest, Will was there for a winless season. You know, they haven't had a whole lot of wins at Vanderbilt, so that was a pretty big win,
Yeah.
you know, for Will Shepherd as well. And really, he needed that moment. He needed that game on a personal level as well, and it was great for the team to see Will have that game as well, because he needed it, you know, and he's a really good receiver. We hadn't seen it a lot in the first 4 games, but we saw it the other night.
Quick hit shout outs once again to some more players just come to mind, because you know a lot of people don't get their name called on the football team, but we're going to call, like you said, Kareem Harden. Great job by him. Big Phil Houston, Hank Zelinskis, great job. Tyler Brown, way to go. Jordan Seaton, Big Savelle Smalls, way to go by him. Really stepping up at that tight end spot, and you know, sealing that edge, helping in protection and in the pass game, and especially in the run game. Who else?
Savelle
You know, you
Smalls,
jump
by the
in.
way, Savelle Smalls, great story that you know, I've never had a chance to talk to him. I'd love to tell the story, but you know, and get his take on it. But great story. A guy that 5-star edge rusher coming out of high school, never really panned out at Washington. Came here last year, it didn't really pan out as an edge rusher here. And in the offseason, they're like, you know what? You play tight end?
Yeah.
And here he is. They bring in a guy like Sam Hart. They bring in a couple other guys that have been tight ends, and Savelle Smalls wins the starting job. And not only that, but end up playing. I don't know if you realize this, Chico. I went and looked at the stats. He played more snaps than Will, Jimmy, and LeJontay the other day.
Wow. And that's big as far as the play
big.
calling
Yeah.
and the personnel by Coach Pat Sherman, using that I think it will be called 11 personnel rather than 10 personnel.
Yeah. So for them to
great job by
trust him, for them to at this point, they trust him to the point where he's on the field for two-thirds of the offensive snaps.
Yes.
You know, and he played well. He was not a liability. You know, he went out and played well, made some good blocks. I think he had a catch or two as well.
Right.
So, you know, Savelle Smalls is you know, really coming on.
Yes. Jalen Wester balling. Shout out to the chat, putting the names in the chat. Put your names in the chat right now of all the players you guys want to shout out for balling out.
I love the one comment by Native Original. The Westers overly balling.
Overly balling out there. For sure. Overly balling.
The Westers love saying overly.
Yes. Shout out to them in their squad. Yeah. So we haven't said LeJontay Wester. Got to shout out to LeJontay for getting in the end zone and really being fired up. Jimmy Horn Jr. Had a nice punt return. Almost let the ball go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
nice that was I don't think that's been talked about enough too. Is like that was a huge punt return at the end of the first half to allow them to have that be in position for that field goal by Mata. So great job by him. And one other guy I want to bring up, the Draylon Miller, continues do his thing in the few snaps he gets. I love the way they're kind of spot using him and getting him the ball every now and then. And Coach Shermer said this week he's a guy we want to have the ball in his hands a couple times a game, and he makes a difference.
It's good to have your offensive coordinator say that. That they want to get you the ball. You can have confidence as a player that you're going to be able to get you some touches. Great job by Draylon. Who else I meant to name out there? Anquin Barnes. Did we say Big Dog in the middle? And you see Savelle. I wanted to make this point. You see Savelle Smalls being a 5-star defensive end / tight end, making that transition on the other side of the ball. That's showing you once again the openness of Coach Prime and understanding that these players can be two-way. I was a two-way player coming out. You have Morgan Pearson coming over from linebacker. He's at tight end also. A lot of people might not notice Big Nakai Hill Green dressed out one week wearing number 89. Not Nikai Hill Graham, sorry, Nikai
Uh,
Webb Walker,
yeah.
Nikhil Webb Walker.
Yep.
He wore number 89 one game, and I'm thinking, were they doing that to have more depth, possibly at the tight end? But also, I'm saying that
Yeah.
so many players are versatile to play different positions,
I
and I'm
think they did that because I don't know his. I can't remember his position. Or
defensive
no,
ends
yeah, his position. I know his position. I can't remember his. Is it 59? Is that his number?
59. Yeah,
I think they did that because there's a couple different guys on his special team. I think they needed to not have duplicate numbers, and so that's
right.
why they threw the 89 on there.
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
think
okay.
that's why.
Yeah, it makes more sense. Make more sense.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
because of that right there. Because you have that in college football to where guys have on the same number because they
yeah,
play on different sides of the ball and not on the field at the same time. But then sometimes that's special teams kind of muck that up. Whether they're going
right.
on kickoff return or punt team or things of that
Well,
nature.
I don't know if you noticed this. The Buffs got away with that against Baylor. Did you notice?
Who had the same number?
So on kickoff team, if you notice, go look at the play where Jace Feely got hurt. Okay, he makes the tackle.
Mm.
And what numbers Jace Feely wear? 17.
Oh, 17, and Hard was out there
And Harge is
also.
17. The
Yep.
other guy, the two guys making that tackle were the two 17s.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
did Hodge kind of run into Feely on that play?
Yeah, there was a little bit of running into him, but
I was like, damn, is that friendly fire right there?
yeah.
Damn.
But all night up to that point, I don't know how many kickoffs there were up to that point, 3 or 4, but
Maybe
you had two 17s.
maybe we need to check out. Is
So
there a rule and it allows for the kicker
no,
to have the same number? No.
like there was,
Damn.
they got away with it
Okay. Well, bam, it's not
because
a foul until the ref calls it or until the flag is on the play, right?
because I actually saw something. It was funny, the little tangent here, but like Virginia Tech's coach this week, ironically, was also number 17, but they were on a special team and they got away with a couple different 17s on the field at the same time. And he was talking about how, they did that. And he said something about, I'm paraphrasing, I'm trying to remember that they hardly ever call that. So we just kind of tried to get away with it. I can't remember if they got flagged or not, but like you said, yeah, they hardly ever call it. But
wow. Maybe it's because of the number 17. Maybe it's that.
Maybe I don't know, but I think I think the Buffs certainly got away with it. I mean, it should have been a penalty, but they got away with it that night.
Maybe ref can be a little bit lenient somehow. Sometimes
yeah,
it's and referee discretion.
I don't know if people on TV could hear this at all, but like every kickoff the other day in Florida, who was the player? I can't remember who the player was for CU, but. Who wears number 5 on defense? Is it RJ Johnson?
RJ Johnson.
Yeah. So every kickoff or kick return, there was an announcement on the PA system. Number 5 for Colorado is wearing number 80, whatever, for this play. But then they would go to the next. It was kick return or whatever. Number 80, whatever for Colorado is wearing number 5, and so they announced RJ Johnson's number every single kickoff because he was because there was a number 5 that was also on the field. It was a kick return. Yeah. He had to wear a different number because Jimmy Horn also wears 5. Right?
Oh, wow.
And so, you couldn't have the same thing, but it was every single kickoff. We were all kind of joking like, yeah, we get the point. All right.
Right. So that's not him.
That's not him.
All right. So let me see. A couple of other questions.
That was a tangent. That's on a very, small thing.
Informative, makes sense. We appreciate it. Let me see here. Got a couple of things in the chat. As of right now, though, we appreciate everybody on this chat. You know what I mean? Joining in, y'all giving some names. Saying Gage Goldberg. Shout out to Stoyanovich. Draylon is Southeast Texas Dogg. Western
we'll say
Brothers,
real quick,
H5.
Gage Goldberg has been playing on special teams, so we have seen him on there. So he is getting in the games. Just haven't seen him on defense.
And also shouts out to Isaiah Hard, who Coach Prime shouted out today and gave praise to by saying, hey, we got everybody thought it was just Travis, dog. No, we got another one coming. He's just cooking in the oven right now. Y'all stay tuned because Isaiah Hard, y'all saw a glimpse of him in that spring game playing the running back position. He can also play wide receiver, but he's been working this whole time at defensive back. So feisty, smart, young player out of forget what school in Florida, but he's a Florida kid too. But look out for Isaiah Hodge to make a name for himself.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me see here. I will make sure.
And one of the guy I mentioned him on
All right.
Sunday, but I'm going to mention him again, Chico, just because I got to meet him on Sunday at the airport. Good
Oh
young
yeah.
man, Cam McKell, who
Yes.
ended up, he's redshirting this year. He is injured, so he won't be playing this year. He told me he's not going to be cleared until the spring, but actually is from Georgia, and flew out there on his own, and went down to Orlando to the game with his family. So he was flying home on Sunday morning and chatted with him at the gate in the airport. And awesome young man, really nice young man, and he's going to be a player too for the Buffs at some point.
Most
So
definitely.
I'm looking forward to him.
One of the fastest players out of high school, out of the state of Georgia when he came out. Like you said, a great young man, come from a good family background. Shouts out to his mom. And another plug right here. If y'all want to know more about Cam McHale, all you have to do
By the way,
is go
are you
type
noticing,
in
Chico?
Prime Parents. Yeah.
There you go. And are you noticing, Chico, how we keep mentioning all these guys that Coach Prime has recruited out of high school, which is pretty amazing because
they say he didn't recruit out of high school, right?
The real haters will say that he can't recruit out of high school, but he definitely can recruit out of high school. So he may not have big numbers out of high school, but you look at the players he gets out of high school, and guess what happens? They make impact for the Buffs. So
it's
he
quality.
can recruit out of high school.
Quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
That's what Coach Prime is bringing in. Look at the impact that Draylon Miller is having. Look at what Jordan Seaton is doing. Look at all of the freshmen that he's brought in from high school, and look how they've made an impact on this squad. And look forward to the future also.
Well, even quick, guys, I mean, Michael Welch.
Michael Welch.
High school
how am I keep forgetting about Michael Welch out of Baldwin?
And even look at some of the guys from last year, Omarion Miller. There's a lot of guys. Carter Stoutmeyer. There's guys that he's gotten out of high school that are making an impact for this team. So yeah, some of them did leave, but even who was the safety from last year? I really liked that kid.
He's out of DeSoto, Texas.
Yes,
my guy Jaden Miller Jones.
Yes,
Jaden Miller Jones. Yep.
I think he's gonna be a good player. I can't remember where he went, but really good player.
He went back home.
Yeah,
he went back home to.
He's in Texas somewhere. Is it UTEP?
Is that SMU or
maybe he went to SMU?
SMU.
You might be right.
I could. I think so. SMU.
I think you're right.
Yeah. It is SMU.
I'm gonna look it up.
All right, so guys, hey, let us know what y'all think. Let us know where y'all checking in from. You asked, how did me and Brian hook up? How did I hook up with someone who is in the rooms with Coach Prime, asking them questions? Someone who came there with Coach Prime, or who went to do a report or just review, or just what would you call it? You went to check out Coach Prime at the Celebration Bowl, I think it was. So, Brian has been around. He's been there with the Buffs. I don't have to speak for Brian. Whatever his thoughts are his thoughts. We're on here discussing Buffs football for you guys. It would be kind of boring if we were just saying back and forth. Yep, you're right. Yep, you're right. Yep, you're right. Yep, you're right. I believe this. Yep, me too. So, we're here. And we're here for all the smoke, whatever y'all need to know. Let us know what y'all think in the comment section. Brian, let them know where they can find you at once again.
Yeah, at Brian Howell 33 on Twitter and at BuffZone.com. And I will say, I'm enjoying it, that we've been doing this. And I think it's been, one of the cool things is, there throughout this time that Coach Prime has been here, there's been a lot of this, there's the longtime CU fans, there's the Coach Prime fans, right? And there's sort of been this division in some ways, and which I've never liked. I've never understood it. Like, everybody wants the same thing, and that's to see the Buffs and Coach Prime win, right? So that's one thing I like about what we're doing here is that I've been doing this for a long time, and you're following the Buffs now too, and so like, hey, let's bring different perspectives, and it brings different perspectives that come from different sides, and it's fun.
Hey, so I see somebody in the comments said Brian is on fire. He was just on a couple other podcasts. So were you on podcast today, or was this the ones previous? Was this today, or was this
No,
since the UCF game?
yeah, well, I did uh, Watts.
So it's since the beat. Look, since the UCF game, Brian been in high demand. Have you been in high demand, Brian?
Well, I do my own shows, but then Bernard Watts does a podcast, and I've been on there a couple times. So he had me on actually, literally right before this. I had to
Oh,
cut him
okay.
off, and because I had a time set up with you, so literally went from closed out of StreamYard with Bernard Watts to log on to you.
Oh now,
So yeah,
oh now, B Watts and oh now, who else they said you was on with? Somebody I just read it. Gosh, who else they said he was on with? You were on with in Connect podcast.
that was the same one. It was
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
it was
okay,
Bernard Watts and Connect. We're
okay,
together. So
okay. Yeah. Well, shout out to
yeah.
them, man, and everybody else doing their thing, making content now on Coach Prime and Colorado. You're gonna see things come out the woodworks and things, that's gonna be here today, gone tomorrow, and some gonna sustain, and that's cool. Everybody's welcome. Come on in this thing. It's 8.1 billion people in this world. It's enough for everybody. Just come in and wipe your feet when you come in. You know what I mean? And speak. Be respectful.
That's right.
All
Be
right.
respectful.
But other than that, man, we appreciate you guys. Y'all know where to find me at Big Dog Chico. Type that in anywhere. Make sure you follow BuffTime Podcast, Buff 'em Updates, Unc and Chico Live, Prime Parents, and all the other things we're doing right here, man. I'm trying to bring you guys different and unique and original content each and every day. All right. Hit me with the like, subscribe, comment, all the other good stuff. We're going to be up and about this thing. Peace in the Middle East. Yeah.